I don't know how I missed it, man, but I was checking over some press conferences from this past week. I think Jimmori Robinson's practicing with the team. I'll show you why next.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about the football team today. Before the Backyard Brawl kicks in on Saturday, we're going to be excited about that one. But before we get there, who's going to play in the Backyard Brawl? That's going to be an important question that needs to be answered. We already know Jaheim White out, Jaden Bray out. We can't do anything about that. But what can we do anything about? Well, what about Jimmori Robinson? So we're going to talk about that, absolutely. Will he play in the game? We're going to talk about our position group rankings, have a look-see at that, as well as look at the visitor list. Who's going to be coming to this game that could potentially commit to West Virginia in the future beyond now? And there's an important who's who of list. Sir Paul Cheeks, among others who are already committed verbally, to the Mountaineers, for next year. So, all right, so I know that this has already been talked about in some circles. I'm not breaking the news here, and I'm not pretending to break the news here. But I missed this only upon checking around to see if anybody else had heard this. I might be a day late to this, but it doesn't matter because I'm pretty sure the fan base at large probably hasn't heard this. Or if you did, you didn't pay attention because it's a talking point. I think Jimmori Robinson's practicing with the team. Tell me if you think these comments by Zac Alley make you think so as well.
Actually being able to go through things and do stuff. So hopefully he can bring us a spark as well. Therefore, it's a big game for us and, both for Coach.
Yeah. All right, here we go right here.
And back to practicing and playing since it will be.
And, both for Coach Rodriguez and myself.
How big of a deal will it be for this defense when you get Jimmori Robinson back to practicing and playing, since it seems like he should pretty much be back at some point now?
Yeah, I haven't seen him in live fire because it's been the battle going back and forth since we got here. But what I have seen, he looks pretty dynamic and looks like a really good player. So I'm excited. Today will be my first day out there with him. So actually being able to go through things and do stuff. So hopefully he can bring us a spark as well.
So there you hear it from Zac Alley himself. I don't know where that brick wall came from. It's probably an ad, but I don't know how I missed that. Jimmori Robinson going to be practicing with us today. Today will be my first day with him. That's pretty specific. You know what I mean? I wasn't really expecting to hear that when I heard that, because I just hadn't heard any reporting, as nobody knew, right? We heard Rich Rod say, well, we're still waiting on a thing or two. It could be that Zac Alley was under the impression that he was going to play, and maybe he didn't that day. I don't know, but I know we haven't had any media. There's no access to find out. I think the coaches probably know that, and they don't want Pitt to know either, right? So just like we still question it to an extent now, so do they. I'm going to go out on a limb and make a prediction. I think he's going to play. I've thought about this a lot. I think that he's going to play. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't know why or what issue could come up at the last minute if he's cleared. There may be some kind of paperwork that needed to be done. I don't know, but it seems to me that I don't see why he couldn't practice in the meantime, between time. Anyways, somebody else can answer that for me. Maybe there are other things going on there. But, maybe West Virginia wanted to keep the competitive edge of the knowledge until the last minute, which is fine. Sorry, I had some spittle go down the wrong tube there. But so I'm curious how some of you guys feel about that. So I think what's an important part of it, cheers, beers, Mountaineers, Excuse me, guys. So just because he's practicing doesn't mean he's going to play. I'm not saying that. The whole question that we were getting around the Rich Rod around that time was he's got to be able to practice by this day so that he can acclimate, right? Because if you can't acclimate, you can't play either way. So if you're not practicing by a specific day, you can't play. That's pretty simple, right? So my point is Zac Alley said right then and there, he's going to be out there today. And this is from 2 days ago. Gosh. So, I mean, I think that's newsworthy in and of itself. I didn't see many people report on it. I didn't think it, maybe it's not big news. Maybe I'm overblowing it. But to me, the whole thing is he can't play if he can't practice due to the rules. Gosh, what the heck's going on here? Sorry, let me get another drink. Oh man, what the heck? So for me, I think it's a big deal. I don't know if he's going to play or not. I think he is. We know he is beyond this week. So either way, we got him back. It's just, it's just very convenient that something came up at the last minute like that, right? To me. So we'll see Saturday if I'm right or if I'm wrong. We'll definitely talk about it because I consider Jimmori Robinson to be the best player on this team. If you base it off tape and what the NFL scouts think, maybe Cam Vaughn is, but certainly they're 1 and 2 right now. I think you could argue that pretty safely. Although he doesn't have any tape with us yet, I think that's a pretty fair thing to say. If he's able to play, though, what is that going to look like? Well, I think he is the one guy on this team that Pitt would fear. I do. I think he's a guy that can wreck games, especially if you leave him one-on-one. He's an incredible outside pass rusher. He's also stout against the run. He plays both well. He's 6'5", 250 pounds. So he's not undersized on the edge at all. He holds up well. And he was dominant in his league with almost 90 quarterback pressures. So teams have to have a plan for him. And it would free up Zac Alley to be so creative in other ways. We've actually been pretty good at getting to the quarterback as it is already this season. How good are we going to be if we got a guy like Robinson who just does it naturally without manufacturing a bunch of different kind of looks and blitzes and stunts or fake pressures? It's going to be interesting. And I really hope we need him to play, right? That's a big, obviously, defensively, I think we need him. We're already a little bit down in that linebacker room with Reed Carrico being out. And then also you can't forget about hopefully Chase is able to play as well. But it's going to be a nice weather game. So, much like, we've had some pretty nice weather games in this game in the past few years. So, I mean, we've had mostly high scoring games. We've had the one low scoring game when Pitt was really bad, when they had, I think this Bill Jerkovich was a tight end by the end of the year. They started quarterbacking that game against us. So, it's hard to say exactly what the score is going to be in this one because it's ranges, but I would have guessed to say that we needed to be low scoring to stay in the game. We probably don't want to get in a shootout unless we just happen to start clicking or find something that works. So, I'm all about it, but, I was under the other, I mean, if you're allowed to practice and, with Jimmori, if you're allowed to practice, then what's the difference between practice and playing exactly? I just, for me, it makes no sense. Like if a guy's not able, if he's not cleared, he's not cleared, right? You shouldn't be able to practice if you can't play. And even others have alluded to, oh, maybe that was a slip. Like it's not just me. Like I've seen other people in the media allude to that being a slip by Zac Alley. Like, oops, right? So it's not just me that's doing this, right? I'm just recording on it because it would be a big return, which is why I have that labeled on the thumbnail. It would be a big return for West Virginia. You really can't overstate it enough. Jimmori Robinson is a game changer. 90 quarterback pressures last year. Think about that. If they played 9 games, that means he pressured the quarterback 10 times a game. It's pretty good. I didn't want to do the math for like 12 games and make myself look stupid. Let's go to break. I appreciate you guys for all jumping in here, by the way, earlier in the afternoon. But, you know, on the other side, I want to do a couple things. West Virginia's got a who's list of visitors coming this week. We're going to talk about that. Also, the position group rankings. What's that looking like so far? Has there been any shift or movement among the position group rankings? We'll talk about that too. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends over at DoorDash. Right now, it's almost the weekend. It's time to look back and crown this week's MVP. Who delivered? Powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more money every time you order, these players delivered when it mattered most. And so let's break it down. For West Virginia, obviously, guys, there was a few people that you could choose from on the list for this one. I want to go out and say, you know, I've said Fred Perry a bunch this week. I'll say Cam Vaughn as well delivered in a pretty big way because I think he made that catch. He did everything he could personally do to make that a catch at the end of the game in the fourth quarter against Ohio. And I think he's going to continue to be a breakout performer for us. And I do believe he's going to come through when the pressure's on without hesitation or delay. And if you're going to watch week after week, this performance is not a fluke from Cam Vaughn. I think he's on a streak. Cam Vaughn is on a streak. And just like Cam Vaughn delivered for the West Virginia Mountaineers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You can save every Saturday you order and stack it up all season, and you can save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, man. Keep the streak alive and fuel your game day with DoorDash, where the terms apply. The promo code only through 11/18. And we can't forget our friends over at Mazda. Listen, when it comes to Mazda, y'all, we already know that Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anybody else as of August 2025. They craft cars for those who do more than simply move, after all. So from footwork to breathwork, athletes sweat at all details. They sweat at all the details. Mazda brings that same intention to how we craft every model. So like our players, we sweat every detail because you make every move count. Impossible becomes irrelevant. So do that at the Mazda today, where you can move and be moved. It's segment 2. Let's crack open a do, guys, as we discuss the player position rankings and also some visitors coming to town this weekend. Why wouldn't you bring your best recruits that you want to this weekend? I'm sure Pitt's going to have some players there as well. Why wouldn't you? Whether it's a road environment or not, maybe it's a bad idea. I don't know. I mean, maybe you would be showing off a potential, you know, especially if they like West Virginia. Maybe you wouldn't want to bring them. I don't know. I guess I didn't think that through. I'm curious. Does anybody know? Do teams bring recruits to away games if it's close, to experience the away environment with the team, like this us against the world kind of deal? Or is it too risky to show off the competition? Just curious about that. I've never thought about it. I would love to ask a coach that question. Okay. Let's do the player visitors first, because I think it's an interesting list, a really interesting list. Obviously, headlining is Sir Paul Cheeks, the running back that's, you know, everybody is fascinated with, an explosive athlete out of Richmond, Virginia at Verina, who has just transferred. He's got track speed, 4.37 40-yard dash, 10.63 100-meter dash. You know, he committed to West Virginia over Pitt, over Kentucky, and is a 4-star player on some boards, but on 247, he's a 3-star guy. A top 40 running back in the country. I think he's a top 20 running back in the country by my tape study. Jaron Hughley is another kid that'll be here, the quarterback out of Cardinal Newman in West Palm Beach, Florida. We all know about Florida. He's a complete dual threat. Absolutely. He's the nephew of West Virginia player, Jawan Sider. He's very explosive. I think he fits Rich Rod's scheme, and he committed pretty early after a strong recruitment as well. He's a 3 to 4 star player, depending on where you look. Christopher Talley from Whitehaven in Memphis, Tennessee, is a dynamic running back with over 1,600 yards and 18 touchdowns. Pretty explosive playmaker. He committed after an official visit over Arkansas and Pitt. Robert Oliver is a wide receiver that is going to be visiting this week as well. You've got Malachi Thompson, who is a Nitro West Virginia standout, number 74, with 74 receptions, almost 1,600 yards, 21 yards per catch, 18 touchdowns. He won the Randy Moss Award as West Virginia's top wide receiver. He's a big frame, and he committed after a strong camp performance. He's a big one, in my opinion, in this class. You got the tight end, Sam Hamilton, who a lot of people like out of Archbishop Moeller, getting back into Cincinnati again, a really versatile blocker, receivers combo kind of guy. 22 catches for 272 yards and 5 tutties, and he's really physical on the edge, guys. If you go watch his tape, he is a 3-star tight end. Justin Lyles is an interesting one, a 6'4", 260-pound offensive lineman out of Cincinnati, a super athletic interior potential, committed after the official visit to West Virginia for sure. Just a line along with Rhett Morris. We know about him as well, out of Don Bosco Prep in New Jersey. Another hotbed of talent that West Virginia needs to be in. Flipped him from Wake Forest. He's a really strong blocker, and he committed after his official visit back in the summer, I believe it was. My favorite player in the class, Camden Goforth, the pancake master, 6'4", 290 pounds from McMinn in Tennessee. He is a guard center type. I think he'll be a guard. He's a physical interior mauler who we flipped from Coastal Carolina, and we're lucky we did it. I think he's a 4-star player. If I was grading him, I would grade him a 4-star player, although he has some deficiencies in flexibility sometimes, which is something a lot of these recruiting gurus just love. But from a pure strength standpoint, he is a monster. He really is. Antoine Sharp is a 3-star linebacker out of Palm Beach Central in West Palm Beach, Florida. 133 tackles, 13.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. And we flipped him from UCF, a pretty versatile off-ball linebacker that is a little undersized at 6'1", 220 pounds. One of my top 3 favorite players in this class is Cam Dwyer, an absolute stud of a linebacker from Palm Beach Central, Florida as well. Love him. Miles Cottrey is another one who, I've heard a lot of rumblings about Miles. He's an up-and-coming. He is literally on a rocket ship. He is shooting up boards right now. 6 feet, 205 pounds from Montgomery Catholic. Really productive. 117 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, 4 sacks. Absolutely diabolical hitter. One of the best hitters you've seen come out of high school in a couple of years for a West Virginia recruit. And I've been told from a couple of sources that he is looking to other places, bigger and better places. So he may not stay at West Virginia long from my intel. Vincent Smith is a 4-star corner, 6'2", 200 pounds, typical Zac Alley corner out of Orland Park, Illinois. Big, speedy, really flipped him from Northern Illinois. He's got a track background. He's a versatile safety / corner combo guy. Samaj Hill is another one, a corner, 3-star, 6'1", 175 out of St. Joseph Prep, which we know is one of the very best in the entire state of PA. Lengthy, smooth, cover DB, who we flipped from James Madison, guys. He was a really strong camp performer. Other people in there, that's all 2025, by the way. 2026, you got Evan Weinberg, who was an edge player coming in. 2027, you've got Armand Hill and Minikin Johnson. Armand Hill is a 4-star running back who is going to be a big recruit there tomorrow or Saturday, from West Mifflin in PA. Definitely keep an eye on him and Johnson as well. Other 2027 targets would be Mason Wilt, Jaden Lindsay, Landon Moore, Xavier Radica, and Noah Rennes. All 3 stars except Jaden Lindsay is a 4-star offensive lineman. And this is 3 offensive linemen, a tight end, and a linebacker. Mason Wilt, offensive lineman. Jaden Lindsay, offensive lineman. Landon Moore, offensive lineman. Xavier Radica is a tight end. And Noah Rennes is a linebacker. The last two guys are basically unrated. One's out of Westchester, Ohio. The other one's out of Melbourne, Florida. Layden Moore is out. I couldn't even find details on Layden Moore. Jaden Lindsay is out of Good Counsel and Olney, which we have, obviously we know a lot of players that West Virginia has recruited under Matt Moore went there. It'll be really hard to keep him away from Virginia Tech, in my opinion, considering unless he's just not pals with all the other guys from Good Counsel that went there. We'll have to keep an eye on that. 2028, you've got Jerome LaRue, a 3-star running back from Bishop McDevitt, who is a speedy track kid from, he's got Virginia Tech, Syracuse, but he's planning a West Virginia visit. And then the biggest name on the list, Noel Devine Jr., guys. This was the son of legendary Noel Devine, who had elite speed. This kid's got pretty good speed. 11:30 in the 100-meter as an 8th grader. He's got Miami, everybody, a bunch of different schools are offering this guy. So we can only hope to keep, Mr. Noel Devine on staff while we hope that he continues to stick with us, if you will. So that is the list, guys. A lot of big-time recruits on here, and there are probably going to be more that haven't been named that West Virginia is going to want to keep secret or quiet, understandably so. Probably some 4-star guys, maybe even a 5-star guy sprinkled in here and there for the brawl. Hard to get them guys, but under Rich Rod, we've done it before. We'll keep an eye on it. I think West Virginia's got a chance with a lot of those guys, and to let them see the backyard brawl with the atmosphere we're going to have Saturday. If there's ever an atmosphere in the history of the program, this Saturday might be it to show off to recruits. It's going to be that good. Hopefully it's close long enough for recruits to see the potential of playing in front of the Milan Puskar Stadium crowd, which is an elite crowd as we all know it. We go to break again. On the other side, we talk about, it, guys, the position group rankings. Man, we've had some shifting around on that list, shall we say. Big movers, big shakers up and down the list. We talk about them next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to your friends over at FanDuel right now, guys. And look, at FanDuel, it's simple. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and make you holler. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets. That's if you win your first $5 bet across the app. You can use it all across the app. And look, I love using FanDuel myself because it fits however you like to bet, man. If you like player props, you want to throw in a same-game parlay, you want to jump live as the action unfolds and just keep changing your bets as the situation unfolds, you can do it. It makes every game more exciting, whether you're watching your team or keeping an eye on your fantasy lineup, and it really gives you rooting interest in games that you really would never even care about otherwise unless you're a hardcore fan. So are you ready to play today with FanDuel? All you have to do is download the app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. And that's FanDuel.com today to place your first $5 bet. All right, we are back here in Locked On West Virginia, segment 3. I appreciate you guys for joining in. Please hit the like button. Subscribe if you're new here. Guys, we're closing in on 6,000 subscribers, which I'm grateful for. And all as well in the neighborhood over here. There's a new thing on YouTube called the hype button. I haven't added it to my channel yet, but I am thinking about it because it's another way to kind of get, the algorithm to see your channel. So I may experiment with it as long as I've talked to my boss about it, but see what my boss says about it to see if it's worth doing. And maybe you can hit the hype button as well to try to get our videos out there even further to an audience. Okay. So obviously when you look up and down the position groups, there is only a couple ways you can go, right? I mean, there are only a couple performances that you can look at and say, okay, I liked that, right? And let's just go ahead and start where the worst of it is. We all know at number 10 is going to be the offensive line. I mean, it is what it is, right? You have to count them at 10 for now. They can make a big jump this week by making some headway. But I mean, look, they were in your backfield at Robert Morris, and then against Ohio, you got pushed on one of the first drives, and then after that, it was over. You didn't have a guy to make people miss at the line of scrimmage anymore, and exposed you became. We're hoping that you can gel as a group and turn it around like the last year's Jacksonville State team did, which was only averaging 120 yards per game rushing, and flip that over to over 320 yards a game last year. Because listen, man, that's oh man, it's just unacceptable. You just can't be that bad at pushing guys around. Here is the graphic, by the way, which I can't remember who gave it to me, but this is Jacksonville State last season. And for those of you listening, it's a picture of Rich Rod, and it says record first 3 games 0-3, last 9 games 8-1. Points per game was 25 points per game. The first 3 games, the last 9 was 38.9. 121 rush yards per game in the first 3 games, 302 the last 9. Opponent points per game was 47 in the first 3 games. The last 9, 20. Opponent total yards per game was 536 the first 3 games. In the last 9, 352 yards per game. Among the teams they played in those first 3 games were Coastal Carolina and Louisville. So pretty good teams, right? Not sitting here trying to say that they were, playing the bulk of their conference schedule or whatever, but they did go on to have some repeat performances. I think Western Kentucky was a team that they beat, that they lost to, that they also beat, if I'm not mistaken, but I'd have to go back and look at it again. My point is, last year Jacksonville State had 60 new players, not 81, but 60. And even though it's not the same comparison, it's really not a great comparison, but I think there is something we can draw from it. There's no reason to think that this team can't get better as they acclimate to what Rich Rod does. And like I said yesterday, I think it's, Rich Rod is such a good offensive coach. If this offensive line can just do one thing good, whether that's block the perimeter to one side even, or whether that's, maybe you can hit this one play really good. And you got to give something to work with, at least one thing that defenses, maybe they take it away initially, but you can at least work off of it. If you don't have anything to start with, you can't start drives. He's not going to be able to mix in formations. He's not going to be able to mix in play calls. This is the issue. We need drive starters, whether that's screen passes, extensions of the run game, what have you, but we need the offensive line to be a big part of that. Maybe it is passing on first down, and they need them to pass block to be able to run. Because for now, Pitt's going to be 7 or 8 in the box tomorrow. And they're going to dare whatever quarterback runs out there to beat us with his arm, and we're going to have to do it. The offensive line has got to move up this list. They just absolutely have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and no ways around it. So they are by far last on the team right now. We need them to jump up 5 spots. Okay, number 9, I've got quarterback there. I think quarterback has been very, very – I get it. Week 1 was great. But if you really pay attention to what Nico did in week 1, he threw about 3 or 4 hitches to Cam Vaughn that had big yards, and then he threw one bomb, right? Outside of that, there wasn't a whole lot to the performance. It was mostly you were just an overmatched opponent, and no matter what you did was going to do well. A lot of the things you did was just running the ball. There was a few design runs that looked good. And then even your backups came in and shredded. So it's like, they just weren't prepared for us. Ohio was a challenge, and we did not meet it at quarterback to the point to where I felt like Nico regressed back 2 years. It was that bad. And then Jalen Henderson came in, and he looked awful for a couple of plays, although I don't think it was a fair situation to judge him in. So I think quarterback has been number 9 for me. And I'm being hard on him, but, that doesn't mean I think that the whole group is bad. I just mean that quarterback, because we've only had one starter, has been this bad so far. And maybe it's an unfair ranking, but I think the way that they played in Ohio completely cancels out the Robert Morris result. It completely cancels it out because it wasn't a good team. Robert Morris, they can't beat any Power 4 team, I don't think. I mean, they were that bad. We fumbled it 5 times, and they still didn't have a chance. It's crazy. That's never going to happen again. So that's number 9. At number 8, I struggled with this one, but I've got tight end there. I think, if you look at Barrick, if you look at Genros, if you look at Grayson Barnes, I mean, they've been really bad. And then you look at their Pro Football Focus grades, really bad run blocking grades. There's just no there's just no way else to say it, man. I think we all expected more from Grayson. I think he can help us, but it's been a bad start for them too, So we need them to produce something. If you're not going to catch it, at least block. And they didn't do well at that at all. And that's sad because it was against the MAC team. If you go from there, I struggled beyond here a little because I think there's a few different routes you can go for sure. I had to go running back here, right? At this spot. I don't want to, but I have to because we really only had one player do anything and he's hurt. So, you could make a case they should be lower, I guess, but I have faith. I think there's talent in the room, and it's just that they haven't had opportunities, right? So, whether it's been Sincere Bowers, who had one big long touchdown run, Ty Edwards has got one carry. I think Dior Hubbard hasn't even played and didn't even travel with the team to Ohio. And then Clay Ash has only had a couple of runs. He hasn't, even though his runs haven't been big, he hasn't had a chance to show what he can do really, like it's been a couple runs. So none of these guys have had a shot, and they're going to get one. We're going to find out Saturday what this running back room is and is not. From there, it gets tougher because it's kind of jumbled up here in the middle some. I'm going to go corner. I think corner is, there hasn't really been like you haven't heard Michael Coach's name, have you? He has. I think he's played okay, at times. Jordy Scruggs has played okay at times. But Jason Chambers had a pretty big ball caught on him where he did some things, but they got beat. At the end of that second quarter at Ohio is inexcusable, and the way they let them balls get behind them, I just can't. I can't forgive that. So I've got them where they are at the 5 spot. So unfortunate for them, but true for me. So is it Memphis? No, but it's going to be fine. From here, it gets a little interesting. I'm going receivers at 5. I think receivers definitely deserve a good ranking. Obviously, Cam Vaughn's one of the best players in the entire country, in my opinion. If Cam Vaughn had a quarterback for real, I think you're talking about a dude that's almost unguardable. I really do believe that. I think he, from a talent perspective, has got a chance to be one of the most talented players we've ever had at West Virginia. But I don't know if it's going to show because of, unfortunately, our quarterbacking right now and the kind of offense that we have in his year one. If we can keep him through next year, man, he's a big piece going forward that would absolutely make or break us here. So Jaden Bray looked spectacular in a little bit of time that he's had, and then he got hurt, man. So, I give them high marks, and I think other receivers were going to come around too, and I still think they will. From there, I guess you go probably linebackers from here. Linebackers have been good, right? It's just unfortunate that they're hurt. Both starting linebackers to start the year have been injured. Reed Carrico, unfortunately, got absolutely stonewalled on the blind side against Ohio, and it was bad. He got absolutely crushed, dude. Crushed. So, I felt bad for that. And he's still out. And then you've got, obviously, Chase Wilson, who had another upper body thing, and we're still waiting to hear what's going to happen with him. John Lewis had a big hit in a game. Ben Cutter's had big hits in games. Like, these linebackers have been pretty good, man. So we need more of that. We need more of that for sure. And by the way, you look up and down, there's even more guys in that room that haven't really played. And then you talk about Reese. I mean, hell, who knows what he can do? He's a young kid. I really like him. I do, man. We'll definitely be talking about him for years to come as long as he stays, in my opinion. So I'm really looking forward to. I said Reese. I meant Ashton Woods. I don't know why I said Reese. Sorry, Ashton Woods. I think he's going to be somebody for years to come that's going to be really good for us. So even I have brain farts every now and then. Obviously number 3, I'll go with special teams unit. I think he's been really good. It hasn't really messed anything up. And then Preston Fox has been excellent on special teams. You have to give him his props there. Number 2 is safeties. I think you have to say safeties are pretty good. You look at what Fred Perry's done and what Darren Lewis has done together. They're a great tandem. And I'm excited to see what that turns into for the rest of the year because I think they're all both really good players. So keeping an eye on them. Obviously Darren Lewis has given up a play here or there, but he's got an interception already. Brad Perry's got 1 million tackles already. That's a room that, you really like. And then you haven't even gotten into the Harringtons of the world that I think can help a lot as well. And then defensive line obviously has been very solid from the very beginning. Hammond Russell had a great first game. We know that. Eddie V, guys like that have been solid on the defensive line, and they continue to look really good. I'll definitely want to see more out of them. Hopefully they can hold up. We need our offense to continue to kind of put points on the board so they don't get burned out early in the year. Hopefully that Ohio performance is a one-off, and we can kind of get out of this game here with limited possessions on the defensive side of the ball for them because they need it, man. Like the video if you're new, by the way, guys, subscribe if you're new. Like the video if you're watching this one. Just move your finger a couple centimeters over or your mouse clicker and hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new around here, guys. Like I asked, would mean a lot to me. I love having you guys here with me as subscribers. And definitely do me a favor as well and drop a comment below. Let me know how you feel about the Jimmori Robinson news as it looks like he could potentially be playing in the backyard brawl on Saturday, which would be an absolute awesome experience for us to see. I certainly would love to see it, hopefully, because he is a game wrecker. He is a baller. He's a shot caller. 20-inch blades on the Impala. All right, guys, I appreciate you for being here. That's really all I got. One more reminder. It's another big moment for Locked On as well, because college football fans, if you didn't know it, Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, which is going to be your ultimate college football weekly preview, where Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along two-time AB Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts, which the college football preview only Locked On can do. So catch college football every Thursday throughout the season, only on Fire TV. All right, guys, I will see you later. Thank you for being here. Good luck in the brawl. I'll be back later to do another video with somebody where we'll probably do a full preview, waiting on an answer from him, and then we'll see what happens then. But until then, I'm out of here.